Hi, this is Shamrondi. So this is my origin story. I was challenged by the course creator of the course that I'm taking right now, and it's super important that I do it and I put it out to you guys so you just understand where do I come from? Where does my drive what pushes me to want to do what it is I'm doing right now. Okay, so I want to kind of like tell you a little bit about me. It's not that pretty. It's not a pretty story, but so I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm from a little town in Boston called Mattapan. All right, so Mattapan, Hyde Park, those are the two areas where I was from, and I went to the local elementary school that was there. I went there from first grade to fifth grade. I didn't go to kindergarten. I went straight to first grade. I didn't need to go to kindergarten. My mom made sure that I knew how to read and stuff like that before I entered. And so I was in first grade. I was not properly socialized. That's one thing. So because I was not properly socialized, it's like when I got to school, it was like I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to communicate. I wanted to, connect with the other children that were there. Because it wasn't as if we had play dates or anything like that. A lot of the children, they were not my neighbors. My parents definitely were not allowing me to go over to someone's house and they didn't know the person, or it was weird, right? So at the elementary school that I went there from first grade all the way to fifth grade. I don't really remember fifth grade much, which is weird. I just remember just having to constantly try to be in focus so I could think about the schoolwork that I was doing, right? And but early on, first grade, second grade, third grade. No, it stopped in third grade. It stopped in fourth grade. I think it was happening to me in fifth grade. And that was bullying. I was being bullied. Now, my family we're Guyanese. We're Caribbean, I guess you would call. And even though we're not from an island, we're from the continent in South America. The country we're from is the only British speaking one of the three. There's three of them. And British colonized, right? So our native language was English. I did not, although I was born there, I didn't grow up there. So I wasn't one of those children that had a funny accent or, I say funny accent because my own son had gotten an accent like that when we took him back home. But I didn't have an accent. I just was, however my mom taught me and however she educated me, that's the way that I communicated. Well, I was teased for that. I was teased for having table manners. I was teased for having social manners. I was teased for the most silly things ever, right? So what was just really weird about that whole experience was this went on throughout high school and it throughout elementary school, and it didn't stop there. It happened to me in middle school. I remember just being odd one out. I think I definitely have friends, not a lot of friends. I had core friends, but I was being bullied. If I wasn't with my friends, people bullied me. Sixth grade, seventh grade. Well, seventh grade was a little wild. Eighth grade, which is before you actually leave, I don't think so much that I had a problem because I was an upperclassman at that point, and I think everybody was just really focused on their books. But it definitely was happening, earlier on. Now, being a mother, fast forward, you realize where does that come from in children? Why do children behave sometimes problematic in group settings and among other children, and when they're under the care of someone that's not their parent? What creates that kind of dynamic where it's you are the adult and there are children that are literally going through different levels of horror? under your eyes. And it's like you don't even see it. If you see it, you're thinking, oh, children will be children. No, no. There were times that when I was in elementary school, there was a girl that I went to school with. Her big sister realized that she needed to protect me. Could you imagine? Like, on this little route from school to home, it's like you could go to school intact and you could come back really messed up, right? There are people's children out there that are just walking around not being able to process their thoughts. They're harboring all kind of issues. They themselves may be, being abused. And it just was such a weird dynamic. The bullying continued. The bullying continued. I had a group of friends right after high school. I didn't have the bullying there, but then about a couple of years after high school, my core friends, the ones that started to make children, earlier in life, all of a sudden their friends that didn't have children, it's like all of a sudden they're trying to like find their own little group again. The bullying continued. I remember just being grown adult, trying to be responsible based on what it is that I see my parents doing, having bank accounts and, just making sure that, okay, whatever little job I have, this is how I'm going to manage my money through this bank account, that kind of thing. And I remember being a young adult and I had a friend literally berate me, abuse me, stop talking to me because I wouldn't allow her to use me. Like for her to like rent a car and go to New York or something like that, right? So I want to say that I was about maybe 23, maybe 23, 22, somewhere around that age. I wasn't 25 yet because things got a little bit more serious and slowed down about that time. So I want to say about 22, 23, 21, this kind of stuff was happening. And because Boston is, the city area is dense in a small area, but it's pretty much suburban, right? Children learn how to drive early. Some states in the country, based on how your infrastructure is set up, some people they don't learn how to drive until they're like almost 20, 18. Maybe when they're already an adult and they're like, okay, I want to get a car. Now they go and they learn how to drive. But in Boston, you want to learn how to drive ASAP. Like you're 14 and you know how to drive. 13, 15, knowing how to drive, or at least know how to operate a car, right? You probably could kill yourself, but you learn early, you make it your duty to learn, right? Because if not, then there may be opportunities of freedom and self-sufficiency that you're not going to be able to take advantage of because you do not understand how to even, be an adult and move around and take care and do things for yourself. So here I am, a young adult. I had did some, I was in college and stuff like that. I hadn't moved to New York yet. I didn't move to New York until some years later. But I literally had to get back to the thing that enabled me to have healing. Because after all of these seasons ended with a stint of summer. The junior year before my junior summer, the summer after my junior year of high school, right before I go to my senior year of high school, I ended up meeting a friend, okay? We were the best of friends. So that summer had a great memory. That mature friendship then was able to follow me into senior year. I was the girl that was like friends with my friends' older siblings or my friends' parents, right? I always had that dynamic going on. I wasn't a person that shied away from being around adults because, in my mind, my best friend is my grandmother, who's more fabulous than my grandmother. No one, okay, not even me. Okay, so my grandmother was this other opportunity or this window of opportunity to see this is how adults kind of like manage their life. How do they manage their friendships? What impact does their friends' friendships have on like this was just like one of those early times of realizing that and putting that all to to pieces and bits and pieces, and then keep in mind, like, I'm getting older, I'm like watching, the way that my mom conducted her friendships, and that could be good or bad. It depends. It depends. So when I say bad, maybe there was a lack of something that I probably it would have benefited me to learn or to be exposed to, but because I wasn't, I had to like learn this lesson like later on. My zodiac sign is Gemini, okay? Like, we are known for being the most youthful of all of the zodiac signs, and youthful in the sense like we don't really grow up when everybody else grows. We do grown up stuff, grown up shit, but we don't really grow up, right? So we don't grow up until like later in life. And I know what that is. I'm sure I'm going to do a video about that and how it makes men look and blah, 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 blah. I got the juice for you. I got the juice, right? Okay. I mean, I'm the friend, right? So as I became a more mature woman, I'm finding my way. I'm learning my lessons. I'm bumping my knee. I'm scratching. I'm having bad relationships. I'm having bad friendships that just poof, didn't even exist anymore. What happened? Oh my God. And like, I'm still pining over my friends. I'm still pining over my friendships. And what I realized was I needed to start taking account and remembering, because at some point as I got older and, the sign of bullying was trying to rear its ugly head, I had to go back in and tap in to those times when it happened to me as a younger child, when it happened to me, whether I participated or not, elementary school, strangers, extended friends, extended family members. Like, when you start thinking about that, it could be a whole lot to unpack. Because remember, like, I'm a grown woman. I'm a woman of a certain age. You know how old a woman is whenever she says she's a woman of a certain age, okay? But it just literally became a suitcase, and you're just like unpacking it. It's like, we have to get to the bottom of this. Why did I feel this way? Why did I stay in that relationship 3 years? With suspicious, like, why? You got to do that. You have to be in a state of why. You cannot be the person that thinks, oh, I know everything, there's nothing left for me to learn. Let me tell you something. At 58, you should still be learning something. And let's add this. On top of you learning something, you should also be okay with admitting that you're learning something. It might help some of you to open up your heart chakra. You might start getting to that place where it's like, oh, love is okay. I could receive it. It's all right. It belongs to me, right? So when I was in college, let me see, I did all kinds of stuff. Psychology, and then I worked in the mental health field. I was one of those very, very efficient mental health workers. Okay. I was so efficient, my coworkers didn't like me. The charge nurse used to be like, oh, we got Shamrondi. This is like having 3 workers, because I was that person. I knew from my seasons of lack and my seasons of healing and my seasons of nurturing, self-nurturing, looking to be nurtured, I was so much more in tune. This is when I find out. Thank you. This is when I find out that I'm empathic, but I don't know that's the word for it back then, right? I have no idea. So that's just a little bit of my history. I worked in retail. I worked in telecommunications. That was sucking me dry. They were like, forget you. You don't need to have a social life. Oh, absolutely not. This is the reason I don't even go. The reason I do not go to the movie theaters is from when I used to work in telecommunications. Movie theaters are still open and existent at the time that this is being recorded. But I just stopped because I just had my binge fill. Okay. So, these, having gone through all these things, now when I'm in the environment, I'm in the milieu. This is where I get that word from. When I'm in this environment where I have to help people to stay as calm and peaceful and communicative as possible, I had to help create that space. I had to set the tone for that. This was a quality I had and I didn't know. I then take a trip, my first trip back home to my original country. Since I was very, very young, I was a young woman. I forgot how old I was at this point. Probably been through one or two engagements already. But I had went back home to my country, and my father took it upon himself to introduce me to some girl cousins in the way that I am here to talk to them so they can get their lives together. Did he know I had that quality? I was shocked. Gather my pearls. I was quite shocked. And he used some words like, use your charm and your woman have. So I learned early on that, I have this naturally. Remember, I have all these lady friends that are like older than me, and we still, we're still continuing our friendships and things like that. Fast forward, I'm a young woman. I'm living in New York at this time. Okay, this is the highlights. I had to gather, find, and catch my life a few times when I lived in New York. That was such a season. Oh my goodness. The first of the marriages, it was just a whole lot. All kind of friendships, learning about myself, being open to getting advice, and understanding the importance of women needing to nurture women. Now, this is before I go on my conscious journey of learning about original cultures, right? Which in some way or another is strained and is part of whatever culture we know present day. But during this time, I learned a lot of life lessons. I learned about myself. But it wasn't the end of me learning. I remember though being at a place. This was a healthy exercise. I remember being at a place where I was in my kitchen, and I had found a photograph of myself back when I felt like I was at just the most free time of my life. And I had this photograph, and it literally became the first vision board that I ever had. It was a time, my hair was this huge natural afro. I was at my absolute sexiest. I was learning a lot about my sexuality during this time. I was learning a lot about my relationship with religion at this time. I was just learning so much. Hence why I think young people, I don't care how easy it sounds, for mama and papa to take care of you, you need to go and thug it out. You need to go and rough it out. Find a way. Anyway, so a lot of great learning was happening at this time. Fast forward again, I meet my future husband. We start dating. This is when the mistakes started. Okay, before I met my future husband, and I had some fun. I had left a serious relationship that was totally unhealthy. Okay, but thank God for my mother and being properly mentored and having these epiphanies and reminders about you could start all over again. Hence, why I'm a firm believer in a fresh start. There will be a video about that. Like, how do you start all over again in a brand new city? Coming from yours truly. So here it is. I'm learning these new lessons. Fast forward, okay? And fast forward again. I am married. Baby number one at this time. I was involved in a great church family, and I was going to church regularly, and kind of like revisiting where I am with religion. Okay, because I was starting my family out a little unconventional, culturally and religiously. Okay, but I was living life as I should have been. I'm glad that I had that experience. But on the road to this journey, on the road to that journey, exactly, because that itself was a journey. On my road there to that journey, I learned that it was imperative to start paying attention to really how I was feeling. Like what I wish I was advised was, you need to kind of like vision board how you want your relationships to look, you know? So when you're not being honored, you know how to like push yourself away from the table, right? It's a weird place to be in. And then you also learn about like, this is how I'm just gonna make do with whatever situation that I'm in. I learned a lot in that season. I think I also discovered how much I love my freedom. And with me knowing how much I love my freedom, it kind of like adjusts the way that I like want to date now as a single woman of a particular age. Okay. And then how I conduct my friendships and how I solidify those friendships, how I nurture them, how I touch base with them. And that's what I want to share with you. How do we keep up with our friendships? How do we do the investigations that we need to do to see if it has the means to be a great friend? Are you committed? Right? You got to be committed in every phase of life, guys. You got to be committed to being single. You got to be committed to that. You got to be committed to when you're ready to be ready for love. You got to be committed to dating seriously and taking it seriously and not letting it kind of like sit in the back burner on certain seasons of your life, because we have a time clock, hourglass, whatever. And then you also have to be committed to the heavy relationships, the serious relationships, the partnerships, marriages. And then the other thing that you have to be committed to is you must be committed to even divorce. Okay? It's just for a small number of you. Being committed to divorce is a healthy way to do that. Being committed to co-parenting, right? Being committed to being the bigger person. It's not easy. I know that. But that's why I'm here, right? Being committed to fixing you. Being committed to loving you. Being committed to making sure that you have the best experience possible. Right? So I'm here. I'm here to help you get your house together, get your home together, get your methods of communication together, get just everything, get it all together, and then also share some of the tools that has helped me along the way. Okay, and there's some tools that I've created, and that's what I plan on sharing with you. My goal is to provide just a different quality, a more personal level of friendship counseling, mentoring, life coaching, to women that are not afraid of doing the work. Once you even admit that this is what you want to do and you want to take this step, I'm here to make sure it's a success. Okay? I'm here to tell you and show you that the boogeyman that they talk about that's in the closet at night, he's not really real, right? I'm here to show you how amazing you are, how to recognize your amazingness, how to be okay with making up words that you feel that just describe your feeling and your aesthetic and your thoughts. And like, I want you to be fantastic, right? At every cost. So I am glad that we were able to make each other's acquaintance. I am Shamrondi. This is Life Design Topics. Okay. Yes, I am an interior designer. You may see that information floating around. And, but aside from being an interior designer, we're known as the psychiatrists of design, right? It helps us to be able to help couples to make decisions. It is a team management. It is being able to work in groups. It is being able to facilitate being a team player, right? That enables me to be an interior designer. And in interior design consultations, I have done tons of coaching, tons of relationship coaching, and I'm here for it. All right. And I want you just to be blessed, right? The best is yet to come. It's just getting started. Life is good. We're in the land of the living. We are in the land of the living. We are here to be true to ourselves, to serve ourselves, to worship ourselves, right? And to take care of ourselves, heal ourselves in a way that we can be able to do those and be those things for others. That is the best way to become a great human being, right? All right. I know this was a long story time, but I appreciate you. Those that made it all the way to the end. My God will bless you. My God will multiply your life. He will give you the fruit of the womb if that's what you want. He'll give you fruitfulness in your relationships. He'll bring happiness and joy and peace, just total shalom in your life. That you just exist in peace. Exist in accepting people how they are, and exist in getting to the real you and being the best, fantastic you possible. All right? Stay blessed. This is Shamrandi from Providence Life Design Incorporated.